Hey guitar friends, welcome back to this mini-series called Open Chord Secrets, where instead of just memorizing chord shapes, we understand these chords deeper and make smart adjustments to create new variations and make your chord playing more interesting. Today we're going to look at a very common open position voicing for the D major chord. Now, as always, the first thing we're going to do is to understand the structure of this voicing. And why do we do that? Because when you do understand how a chord is constructed, you can start changing things about it and create new options. This specific voicing for the D major chord belongs to a family of chords that are constructed based off a power chord. Most of you know the standard fingering for a power chord. It's constructed of the root note, the fifth, and then the root note again. And this is a movable shape. You can move it up and down the fretboard based on the same string, string 6. Or you could move it across the strings and base it off string 5. But something many people are not aware of is that you can move this power chord fingering one string higher and base it off the 4th string. Now there's a problem with that, and the problem is that it sounds wrong. And the reason is the tuning of the guitar. Because of the way the guitar is tuned, whenever we cross into the top 2 strings, if we want to maintain the same sound in our movable structures, we have to shift everything on the top 2 strings 1 fret up. If you are familiar with my string fragment system, we do that all the time. So in the case of the power chord, we have to shift our pinky 1 fret up to get the same sound. So now you can base power chords off string 6, string 5, and string 4. They sound a little bit thinner there, but they're still very cool. So if we get that 4th string power chord fingering and move it into the open position, it will look like this. Which is of course the bottom part of the D major chord. So we have root, 5th root, and then the top string is the 3rd. So, similar to what we did with the C major chord in another lesson, we will take the 2nd root note, the one on string 2, and move it to or replace it with the note that's 2 frets above it. Now there's a problem with that. If you use the regular, usual fingering for the D major, it becomes very difficult to stretch up to that 5th fret to get the 2nd degree. So the solution is to get the D major chord using a small bar. And now your pinky is more comfortable to reach fret 5 for that 2nd degree. As we've learned before, there are 2 ways to use this 2nd degree. You can either use it as an embellishment for the D major chord, when you do it this way, basically you're not changing the chord. You're just moving that note up and down, creating a small counter melody. But the harmony is the same. It's still a D major, so you can use that in a song that has a D major chord. But if you hold that 2nd degree on the 5th fret, then it's not a chord embellishment anymore. Now it's part of the chord, and our chord has been transformed into a D add 9. And I'll take this opportunity to remind you why we call it an add 9 and not an add 2. There's a rule in music theory that says chord tones should be labeled as odd numbers. So 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, 13. And if we use even numbers, we're actually referring to the in-between scale tones. Of course, there are exceptions to this, like the sus2 and the sus4, which brings me to the bonus section of this lesson. You see, this D major fingering with the added 2 is kind of difficult, especially if you're mixing it with other chords. So many guitar players avoid it. But there is a way to get a very similar sound with a much easier fingering. Instead of replacing the root with the second degree, we can replace that third on the top, that F sharp, with the second degree, the open E. The D add 9 and the D sus2 are very similar in their sound. In most cases, both will work for the same effect. You see, the D sus2 is a more simplified chord. It's actually lacking one chord tone compared to the D add 9, but it's compatible. It has a less rich sound, but in some songs that could even be the better option. You don't necessarily have to play all the notes all the time. The rest of the band can take care of that F sharp. And even if nobody does that, the song will still work. So if you want to go the easy way and use the open string for that added second degree instead of this one on string 2, that's fine. The fact that you're missing a note is not really a problem. It's just a matter of taste. So try it and see how it sounds in different contexts. In my premium open chord workshop course, we talk a lot about sus2 and sus4 chords. But I wanted to give you a preview here because I know that many of you may have some trouble technically getting that D add 9 fingering. Now I hope you can see how this approach we're following works. Instead of giving you some chord diagrams and having you memorize them, we are exploring. We are making intelligent observations so that your mind can latch onto this information and it doesn't feel like memorization anymore. We covered the D major, the D add 9, and the D sus2, plus the ability to use the extra second degree as an embellishment. But now it's time to apply what we learned. So if you're watching this Inside Open Chord Secrets, you should find special backing tracks and instructions to practice this below this video. Using these practice tracks, you're taking the role of a rhythm guitar player within a band context. But if you're watching this on YouTube or social media, then there should be a link around here for you to sign up for free and get all the lessons and backing tracks in this series. This is Prokopis from String Systems reminding you to enjoy your practice and be effective.